The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Ambar Garcia, Brian Broaddus, Nick Harris, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, November 27th, 2024, Season 20, Episode number 76. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, presented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at LG.com/OLED Evo. Welcome to the show. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Good. We ready to roll?
Yeah, sorry, I'm like, get away from me.
You got people texting you?
Yeah, it's people that helps us though. So.
Oh, well, yeah. Keep texting over there.
Yeah,
do what you need
people
to do.
that help us.
We may need that information at some point in the show.
We have for
As a
about
matter of fact,
14 years.
As a matter of fact, we're going to talk injuries. So my guess is maybe that's going to come in handy here. We'll get to that here. And then in the second segment, or maybe even the first segment, we'll get into some notes on this Giants defense and how it matches up with the Cowboys offense. And then we'll get to some just matchup questions about this matchup between the Cowboys and Giants that'll happen tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day, at AT&T Stadium. And
we better win.
Oh, okay.
They better win tomorrow because I don't want to go another week with depression.
11 days, that is.
Yeah, because it's Monday night, the next one.
Are you at the point where it sets in like depression when because I'm at a point now where I'm kind of like, whatever happens, happens. Well, I'm thinking of this as I have
because
like 17.
You're not posting on social. Like, this affects social media.
No, I see the numbers.
I see the numbers. I'm like, please.
I see the numbers, and the numbers certainly, they don't make me feel great when we don't win. But I guess the point is, like, I've gotten to the point now where I'm just kind of like, I'm thinking of it. Every game is just an episode of a television show, and it is isolated to just that game, and I'm enjoying that game for what that game is. And when it's over, it kind of is over.
But it's different because, it's different with Thanksgiving. It's like by the end of it, you're like, why the heck am I here? Like, why did I even work here? Like, the game, you go through it, you're not really spending it with your family. You feel like you're missing out when you see texts or pictures, and you're like, all this for what? For us to lose? It's just, it's different when they win.
You've been in the league 10 years now. Come on.
You're a vet.
It's different. It's different.
It ain't like Tom Brady, who was surprised he had to work on Thanksgiving Day. Like, what?
That
have to call a game? That kind of thing? Come on.
You've
been in the league 10 years. I thought we had the
Didn't you go on a rant yesterday talking about how you want them to win and how different it is?
That's what I'm talking about. No, my rant is,
that was a big rant.
No. I mean, my rant, I thought, was well-timed.
It was absolutely well-timed.
Well, mine is going back to your point.
Yours is a day late.
It's similar. Now we're moving on to Thanksgiving.
I thought you weren't going to get emotionally involved. I thought you were not going to. Remember, you were kind of talking about you could disconnect from it. You were talking about that. Like, I'm not letting it bother me, kind of a thing.
It doesn't, but I mean, after I experienced what a win is, again, it's been a while. So after experiencing that, I'm like, okay, I like this. I like the feeling of this. So let's do it again.
No, I understand. I mean, but like I say, what I said yesterday is because to me, that's why we do this.
Yeah.
That's why we do this, so you can win these games and get that feeling of this. But some people have just disconnected from this season, though. They really have.
Well, I think that the good thing is if they can get this thing rolling, then I think at least for all of us that are paying attention, it'll be the fun of just winning an individual game. And I think that's how you have to look at it. It doesn't have to be a bigger picture to it right now. Right now it is, can you just get a win? I just want to see wins because wins are fun. And it's fun to, especially when you're playing division rivals. Like when you're playing the division, get the win, man. I want to see wins. So let's see if we can do that.
The great thing about sports is that every time you think that you don't have a chance, something crazy does happen.
Yep.
Something happens. A team is 10 games back in baseball, and it goes down to the last game. And you could get disappointed or you could be extremely happy. But that's the great thing about sports, that you just every time you think it's this is done. It's something happens.
You get real back in.
Honestly,
But if you lose the Giants, you can go back to that feeling of sports suck.
I root for what you call, Brian. You talk about, I know you do these all the time in your life, these feats of strength. Like challenging yourself to do these things that are just kind of outside of what most normal people would consider something they want to do.
Yeah.
I root for that in sports. Like I root for moments when you can see teams or individual players do exceptional things. So, there is something to watching a team that's been bad get on a run and then be like, they're making it interesting. Maybe they can do something that seems insurmountable, right? I like those kind of things. That's what sports is for me. It's fun to watch those kind of moments.
Nick, you just hate everything he just said, didn't you?
I hate all sports. I hate all of this. I don't know why I do it every day. No. There's a beauty in the journey, beauty in the struggle, if you will.
Yeah, it's been a struggle.
No doubt about it.
Wow.
All right, let's stop pontificating on that. Let's get back to football and what the Cowboys are going to do tomorrow. Let's talk about the injury situation. Trayvon Diggs goes from limited 2 days ago to yesterday not practicing. What are we hearing about him?
Might be Josh Butler time again tomorrow. It's going to be close for Trayvon Diggs. Yeah. We'll get the availability report later today. That'll be big for him, Kendricks, and Nealand. We'll get into those two later. But for Diggs, I think it's going to be close. Yesterday was not a step in the right direction.
All right. Awesome Richards, Eric Kendricks, Marshawn Nealand, Zach Martin, Jake Ferguson all did not practice. Tell me if any of those are expected to play.
I think Nealand's going to be close, and Kendricks is also trending in the wrong direction. I think he needed to get on the field yesterday, and he did not. So that middle linebacker spot, I've actually talked about this with a few people. That's one that's going to be decided late just because Nick Vigil is also on the injury report. They've used Darius Harris in the past at that spot whenever Kendricks couldn't go. I would expect an elevation for Harris regardless anyway, but I think it's going to get a little interesting there.
If this thing was on Sunday, I think you'd have a better shot with Kendricks. But when you hear people kind of talk about it, hey, we got 48 hours, and then now we got 24 hours, and it didn't sound particularly. That one, Martin didn't sound good.
Yeah, no.
Ferguson didn't sound good. The Diggs one, I think Nick's absolutely right on that one. If it's a Sunday game, maybe you have a chance, but that one didn't sound particularly good either.
So Nealand really is the only one out of that list you guys say has a chance, really a decent chance.
I'd say he has the best chance.
The best chance.
The best chance of those three guys of Nealand, Diggs, and Kendricks. But yeah, there are guys I do expect to play. I think Brandon Cooks is going to get activated today, so that'll be big. And then guys I don't expect to play. You mentioned Jake
Awesome
Ferguson.
Richards go to the four game. How are you going to get that
I'm looking
spot?
at Kalen Carson. He popped up yesterday. That shoulder is really bothering him.
it did
As the season goes
yesterday,
on, I think this is a situation where they potentially shut him down with that shoulder. That's what I'm keeping an eye on. I think Awesome Richards is also a possibility, though. But they feel a little bit more confident that they could get him back in less than 4 weeks.
It was interesting. I heard Eric Kendricks on with you guys on 105.3 The Fan yesterday. And it was interesting how he was talking about, that turnaround of a Thursday game.
It hurts a lot.
It's hurt. And for vets, I think it's even more of a challenge, especially those that are battling those injuries that they kind of just are making work all season when they got 7 days to get ready again. Having that quick turnaround, it's really, really tough. There are a couple other limited guys that we need to check on. Cooper Rush and Tyler Smith and CeeDee Lamb. Those are other limited guys.
Yeah, looking good for all three of those. CeeDee Lamb, we were able to talk to him yesterday during media availability, and he said he's as banged up right now as he's been in his entire career, but he's going to keep pushing. He said he's good to go to play on Thursday, but he's going through a lot. NFL leader in receptions. I believe he's third in the NFL in receiving yards, and given everything that's happened over the course of this season, that's pretty impressive for him. There's a deeper conversation to CeeDee Lamb and how much he's showing his value right now. But I expect him to play on Thursday. As far as Cooper Rush goes, just battling a little bit of a knee soreness. He should be good to go. And then Tyler Smith, he's heading in the right direction. He got on the practice field yesterday again. I think he'll play tomorrow.
I was talking with the guys at the Giants yesterday. We should be ready for two quarterbacks here.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
Yep. They with Devito, there's legitimate. I mean, he's telling the media and stuff he's going to play, but they've worked Drew Lock with some first team reps, and I said, well, what do you think? And they said, you guys just need to be ready for two quarterbacks potentially because we don't know. But Lock, my guy goes, Lock is getting first team reps.
I think Locke has starter potential in the NFL.
See, that's what scares me.
Give me a quick scouting report. Can you give me a quick scouting report on him, on like what you like about him? What you say he's got
a
NFL?
Gamer.
Yeah,
he's just a gamer. Like, he's not going to blow you away stats wise, but kind of similar to how Bo Nix has started his career. I think Drew Lock had a similar start in Denver, and then I think teams figured him out pretty easily. But he's just a gamer. He figures out how to win ball games. I'm a big Drew Lock guy personally.
Have you seen Garrett Nussmeier play at LSU?
Yes.
That is fun. That is a fun comp.
Garrett Nussmeier and Drew Lock are the same guy.
Huh. Okay.
That it's like wheels off.
Yeah.
But it can be wheels off in a way like crazy. But then all of a sudden the wheels get back on the track, and now there's like throws you've never seen before, and there's an attitude about you. There's an arrogance about you. There's it's almost like what Romo had too. That ability to like just manufacture things. The feet are bad. It's throwing sidearm. He's shoveling the ball. I mean, that's what Drew Lock. Now, he'll throw you an interception or two now because of the way he plays. But the Giants offensively, with the way they run the ball, and if they're going to load it up with neighbors, Drew Lock gives them a chance to win a game. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Tommy DeVito gives you a chance to really, really win a game. But Drew Lock playing, I think that would be a bad situation for Dallas.
So why did they make the decision?
Money. They didn't want to pay the guy. He's got bonuses if he plays. He gets a $250,000 bonus for every time he plays, 40%, 50%. So they were thinking that, but they're also in a situation where their locker room ain't very happy right now.
Yeah.
And
that might get them that kind of win on that day.
The Giants need a win. I mean, they need a win in the worst way, much like Ambar needed a win last week. Yeah. They need a win. And so I'm surprised that they let their pocketbook get in the way of a chance to win a football game. But I think if Drew Lock plays tomorrow, man, just hang on to your rear. Here we go.
Do you think it could also be a little bit of that organic tanking where you're like, okay, let's put the guy out there.
Yeah.
It works for us to put DeVito out there because what's the worst case? Worst case scenario, we lose and we get a better draft pick. Like, is there? Do you think maybe there's some of that happens?
Well, probably. I think so. I think everybody's looking around in that building and seeing that everything's about to get blown up. It could happen as soon as Friday.
Well, it's funny.
You mean the coach?
Yes. I think that could happen as soon as if they dropped a 2-10 with a 10-day break. Ugh.
Is it Joe? I always say his name wrong. Joe Shane. Joe Shane.
I think it's Shane.
I don't know him, so if I don't know you that well, I don't know your name. But Joe's he's a young guy.
Yeah.
Evidently a talented guy. But he was out scouting. He was in Colorado this week looking at their players. Yeah. So you kind of wonder, is he sticking around, or are they really going to blow this thing up with the coach and the general
manager? He's been to
Miami
as well for Cam Ward.
Yeah. So he's making the rounds at these the quarterbacks.
Isn't this his first year as GM, or is it second?
I think he's been there a little bit longer than that.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm
not sure.
Yeah, I think he's a 3-4 year guy.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. Because I think he came with Daboll, and then their very first year they went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so they kind of bought themselves some grace there, and then it's been a little bit downhill ever since.
Well, I think the part that everybody keeps looking at is when you look at Hard Knocks and you hear the owner say, "Man, I don't want to see our running back."
John Mara knew.
I don't want to see our running back lighting it up somewhere else, and then to have to watch what he's doing right now in Philly, like that certainly doesn't
tell you what,
breed a lot of confidence.
If I was running a 2-9 franchise, you wouldn't see me back in the building. I would be looking at every, if I still had a gig, like, hey, where are you today? Seattle, Washington. Where are you going to be tomorrow? Los Angeles, California. I would not be.
They can't catch you. They can't fire you.
I would not want to walk. I would not want to walk into the dining hall and all of a sudden John Mara's getting a cup of old gray tea, Earl Grey tea or whatever you want to call it, and he's like. Kind of give you a nod, like, yeah.
I've been meaning to catch up with you. Why don't you come by the office?
You don't want that. You don't want that. You end up like
Bring
me.
Your badge.
You end up like me with Parcells in the locker room. You don't want to do that. That's a bad idea. Bad idea.
Captain Morgan?
Captain Morgan pose, yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and get to our first break. When we come back, we're going to dive into this New York Giant defense.
It's awful.
Some interesting things on that defense. It reminds me a lot of what we were looking at last week when we were talking about the Washington Commanders, but we'll talk about that when we come back. It's DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP.
Don't put off getting your oil changed, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. They're so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's stay in your car 10-minute oil change at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. That means you won't even have time to show off your best touchdown celebration. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to the break.
LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said that LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen. See it for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Welcome back. Second segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. The segment brought to you by blockchain.com. All right, real quick, we got some updated news, Nick, on one Tommy DeVito. What are we hearing?
Yeah. So
that went right over the heads of most of the people listening, Brian. I got you. I know exactly what
Appreciate you having
yeah.
me back there, Ball.
Tommy DeVito is not flying with the team today to Dallas. However, he will join them later on. He is officially listed as questionable. Exactly. He is officially listed as questionable for tomorrow's game with that forearm injury.
I think he's going to stay with his family.
Yeah,
just gonna see him.
Yeah, it's a big family he's got up there in New Jersey. We know he's got a big one.
Yeah,
I saw him in the when we were doing the pregame show. We're out on the Miller Lite, the Plaza out there, and there were a bunch of people last year with DeVito jerseys, Giants jerseys on, and then one had looking like a high school jersey on.
That's awesome.
So Eric Chiafalo, my broadcast partner, goes, "I wonder if that's DeVito's family." And it goes over the speaker. And they all turned around and like, yeah.
It wasn't a ticket situation where they all like turned on him and
they
pulled a gun on him?
No, they just hey, that was Manny. That was Manny.
Never.
Hey, if you're in New Jersey, never reach into your jacket. Never reach into your jacket.
Are you gonna tell the story or not? Like, people are lost. Tell the story.
Real quick.
We have to.
Real quick.
There won't be anything quick.
Brian has phenomenal stories.
It will not be
one of the best.
This is one of the best.
This is one of the best.
Story time with Brian Broaddus. Go ahead.
Sponsored by Yeti.
There
you go. Perfect.
So real quick, I'll try and be. Ambar, you're right. You've worked with me long enough. We've won awards together. You're right. So anyway, Parcells sends me. He comes by where Valley Ranch. He sends me. He says, "Hey, when are you going back up to see the Giants?" I said, "I'm going in a couple of weeks." He goes, "Good. I got something for you to stop by my office." So I stopped by his office. He gave me some tickets. He still has his New York Giants football tickets. He's still got his season tickets up there. So I'm going to carry some tickets up to Manny. I got to meet a guy named Manny. I'm in Voorhees, New Jersey, just outside the stadium there. I pull around there, and I'm like, man, I can't find this place. There's a restaurant, and then there's like a men's clothing store on the ground floor of the restaurant below it. And so I pull around. I'm like, man, I don't know if this is the right place. Knock on the door. Door opens. I'm like, hey, looking for Manny? And they're like, okay, hang on. So I'm waiting. So it's like, I walk into this place, but it's like a men's clothing store. Manny shows up. He's got the T-shirt on, suspenders, pinstripe pants, And I'm like, everybody's kind of dressed, kind of in a fashionable way for that kind of group. I don't want to call them what it was. So they're all dressed up.
Very careful.
Very careful. And Manny's like, hey, yeah, who are you? I'm Brian Broaddus, and I reached into my jacket. I literally reached into my jacket, and every one of their guys drew on me. Guns on me. And I'm like, Parcells sent me. I got tickets. They're and I mean, literally, they all drew. When I went into my jacket to get the tickets out of my pocket, guns were pulled. And like, man, it's like, oh, Parcells sent you. That's okay. That's, And then they all and I had dinner with those guys that night. They all took me upstairs. The penne vodka sauce was tremendous. They're telling stories, and it was like being in an episode of Sopranos.
I'm guessing some of the stories are stories you can't repeat, right?
I can't repeat a couple of them because they would go, hey, tell the kid about the time on the Parkway.
And Benny would walk through that door right there.
And I was like, yeah,
what happened on the
Parkway? The story about the Parkway.
But
they had these stories. But literally, I reached into my jacket to grab those tickets, and they all drew. And I just went, no, Parcells sent me. I've got tickets. And Manny's like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. But everybody's standing around. It was just like out of
Did a little bit of pee come out? Just a little bit.
No, I kind of was able to survey the room and think, Parcells just sent me into like going to the Bada Bing or where if you watch the Bada Bing. He sent me into, instead of going into there, I was going into a men's clothing store that they obviously use as their business.
My funniest conspiracy is that this was Parcells' scheme to get rid of you.
That's hilarious.
You walk back in the office, he's like,
no,
Brian,
you made it back.
I gotta go with Manny.
I went back and he goes, everything okay? Everything okay? And I guess maybe Manny told Parcells what happened. Yeah. He goes, everything okay? I'm like, I go, don't ever do that again. Don't ever do that. He goes, what? They're just guys, football. Yeah. And I go, don't ever do that again. Your friends, don't do that to me anymore. Parcells had a lot of people up there. I used to have to make, like, when I go up there and scout, I drop things off. I went to an ice cream store one time. I mean,
he's a Jersey guy. Was he born and raised there?
No, where was Parcells born? But his just.
I mean, he spent a lot of years up there. But
is he a Jersey guy? Because
born in Inglewood, New Jersey.
Inglewood. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
But those are his guys. Yeah. I mean, everywhere you went, if you said you knew. Now, I had a guy real quick, sponsored by Yeti. Here.
The great part is we're talking about the Giants anyway, so this is all it all fits. It works.
There's remember that when you drive in, that Sheraton? Is it still there? That Sheraton hotel that's right by the stadium? There's that huge Sheraton. When you go to the game tomorrow, look for the Sheraton right across the street. So anyway, the guy who ran the Sheraton across the street was a Cowboys fan. But I would bring him gear, like I'd bring him shirts and hats and stuff. But he said, "Listen, man," he goes, "please put it in a box, wrap it up. Don't just hand it to me when I mean, because I'll get in trouble here. I'll get in trouble. These people, they don't understand this. I'm like, okay, cool. So when I would go to the Sheraton, I'd check in. Man, I had the best. I mean, I was concierge floor. Everything about it was great. I have a little box I'd carry in my arm, I was like a New Jersey delivery guy. I was going to Voorhees, going to like all these other little places, delivering stuff for Parcells. But my guy up there at New Jersey who ran the Sheraton was a Cowboys fan, but he couldn't let anybody know that he was a Cowboys fan. But Manny took great care of me up there.
I kind of want to go visit Manny just to Say what's up.
I don't know if Manny's still with us.
Oh wow.
I mean, I don't know that. He was an older gentleman.
Okay, all right.
He was an older gentleman.
So nothing weird. Just
nothing weird, but
yeah.
but we don't know. Something weird could have happened along the way. Manny was in a line of business where making clothes.
Clothes can get dangerous sometimes.
He was making clothes.
Waste management on the side.
He was running a tailor shop up
Wow.
there. But those guys, I swear, it was weird.
All right,
that's great.
Back to the Giants. That was a great story, Brian.
Thank you.
Back to the Giants. Let's talk about their
Damn
defense.
Parcells. I swear.
Let's talk about their defense.
I never thought of him trying to off me up there or something like that. You know,
I didn't either, but that's actually a good point. Like he's like, we'll see how this pans out. Maybe I won't have to make a move.
I'm like, it's tickets.
All right, let's talk about this Giants defense.
It's like the Godfather. Take the cannoli, leave the gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Take the tickets, leave the gun.
All right. Let's get this together.
Back to it. All right, sorry.
Reminds me of last week, the Washington defense, from the standpoint of they are at exact opposites when it comes to their two units. As far as their pass defense, they're 7th in the league. They're first in sack percentage at 10.6% of the time of dropbacks. They get a sack. They're third in yards after the catch that they allow in the league. So let's talk first about the passing defense. Who are the rushers that the Cowboys need to be most concerned about, and where do you think they'll be matching up? Which offensive linemen do you think they'll be matching up against?
I'm looking at Lawrence and Burns. Granted, this pass rush has kind of started to tail off a little bit. They were leading the league in sacks up until about 3 weeks ago. Now
they haven't had a sack in
back.
3 weeks.
And it's been rough. But Dexter
has there
Lawrence,
been any injuries that affected that?
Not to my knowledge.
No.
Okay. This has actually been a mostly healthy unit.
Really
on the
healthy
side.
unit.
And they're young too in the secondary. We'll talk about that. But I think pass rush perspective, I look at Lawrence and Burns.
Yeah, I think the one you really have to worry about is Burns. Thibodeau is capable. I think they thought that Thibodeau was going to be this, maybe the second coming of a DeMarcus Ware or somebody like that. Maybe not a Lawrence Taylor. I mean, the Giants have a history of great offensive linemen, and then they've also had a history of great rushers, edge rushers. And Thibodeau was supposed to be that guy. Brian Burns does a great job with his pressures. Dexter Lawrence, let me tell you this about Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence gets doubled a lot. The Cowboys doubled him, and I checked this because I went back and watched the game. There were 25 drop back attempts in that game in week 4. They doubled him 20 of the times.
Ooh.
So
they see him as the problem.
They see him as the problem. So I would anticipate once again, that's the second most that anybody's been doubled this year, by the way. He faces, like, you look at the metrics on him with double numbers, it's like 64%. Nobody wants this guy to beat them. And he can do it. He's got 9 damn sacks. Mm-hmm. He's going to pressure you. He's a big man. He's going to push you. He's going to throw you. He's going to, he causes problems. He didn't come off the field in the nickel. They just rush him. So that's where I think you have to worry about him inside, number 97, and then you have to worry about number 0, Brian Burns. And maybe we'll see with Thibodeau the situation. They've done a pretty good job when they faced him in the times that they've been able to do that.
You mentioned injuries. Aziz Ojulari.
He's now gone.
Year. So I mean that's a guy that's hopped on the IR that was helping their pass rush.
He was playing up until this week.
Yeah,
and then they put him on the IR. But overall, though, they've played a lot of snaps. This defense has together.
When you look at their secondary, where's the weak link?
It's young, but the young guys have played really well.
Yeah.
I love Andrew Phillips, a rookie out of Kentucky.
Yeah.
Ended up going a lot later in the draft than I expected, but he's playing nickel for them and doing some great stuff. Also, Tyler Nubin is a rookie out of Minnesota.
Safety.
We talked about him quite a bit as far as a run defender, and I think he does really well stepping up in the run and doing some things there. But I'm not confident in Deonte Banks. It's their second-year first-round pick out of Maryland. He just hasn't figured it out. I think it's fortunate for the Cowboys because you looked at 2 corners go in the first round in 2023 in the division. You had Deonte Banks go to New York. You had Emmanuel Forbes go to Washington, and neither of those guys have really panned out. Yeah. And both of those guys are starting to see snaps taken away. Mm-hmm. Banks is questionable tomorrow as well, so that's something to keep an eye on. But I think whoever's lined up against Banks, if he does play, that's probably where you're able to find some consistency. I will say this is a good game for Brandon Cooks to come back. You need multiple action on both sides of the formation, and I think if they can do this crosser action with Lamb and Cooks like they did so many times last year, I think they'll find success with both of those guys.
Yeah, and I think the reason maybe that Banks is struggling so bad is they'll travel him. He's a traveling guy, and what happens when you're a traveling guy, you're traveling with the opponent's best guy, and unfortunately for the Giants, he's traveling with the opponent's best guy, and they're still throwing the ball his direction. Yeah. He gets targeted a lot. There's a lot of receptions. This secondary has one interception. Has one. And
they're last in the league. Yeah.
It's from a linebacker. Yeah. The linebacker.
Darius Muasau.
Muasau has the only interception that this crew has. The pressure, like you said, the last 3 weeks, they have not got any, as far as sacks, they have not got any of that. But I think Banks gets picked on because they travel him, and their teams are like, nah, you're still not good enough to go. Now, if you just look at the numbers too for Phillips, the nickel there, teams got an 80% completion percentage against him throwing the ball. So they're not going after him like they are Banks. I've always thought that Cordell Flott he's number 28. I've always felt like every time that he's lined up, because he's a tall, thin, he's a kid played at LSU, and he's just like a tall, thin guy that kind of gets overpowered and gets run by and gets, turned around a little bit. This second, if they don't get the pass rush home, but I'll tell you one thing, Nick, I don't know if you saw, this team can't play run defense.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean,
this linebacking core has really nosedived. I'll talk about a carry, but you go ahead.
Yeah, but see, to me, this is where teams are averaging over 5 yards a carry.
They're 30th in run defense right now, 147 yards a game.
They do not defend the run all that well, and a lot of it probably has to do with the guys wanting to get upfield with Burns, and then also with Thibodeau and those guys wanting to get upfield. You talk about the defensive tackle and Lawrence. Hell, he's a much better pass rusher. He's a great player, don't get me wrong. But, man, you notice him more rushing the passer than you do playing the run. So this team is struggled. Dallas, I could see Dallas kind of loading up and saying, okay, we're going to try and run the ball, much like, give me that 80 to 100 yards again. Let's give it's a short week. I know that, your runner might be a little, he hadn't had the full rest period. But, man, I find a way to try and kind of run the ball on these guys until they stop it. Until teams have been successful doing it, and I don't think there's any reason to stop in this game.
Yep. All right, let's take our final break. We'll come back. Got a few more questions on this matchup, Cowboys versus Giants. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a Pepper thing.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
AT&T, connecting changes everything.
Welcome back. It is the final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Let's wrap this thing up. Cowboys versus Giants. Give me what do you think will be the starting offensive line for the Cowboys this week with the injuries that they've suffered and the things that you kind of know and what you're hearing. Who do you think will be the starting five?
I think it'll be left tackle Tyler Guyton, left guard Tyler Smith. I think he'll be ready to go. Center Cooper Beebe, right guard I think it's going to be TJ Bass, and then right tackle Terrence Steele. The only one I'm not 100% confident about is Brock Hoffman could start at right guard. They've rotated those two guys in and out whenever one of them has had to come in, but Bass has more so been the first guy called upon. So I would lean towards Bass, but also factor in Hoffman.
Any chance, guys, that you feel like that they might get Adoga involved as a rotational player just to kind of make sure that Guyton doesn't play 65 snaps? I know that sounds crazy to say, but that it gives him kind of a little bit of a breath, kind of catch his breath a little bit, in a series or two.
Even if that is not the plan, if these pre-snap penalties continue to happen with Guyton, Edoga will finish the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter when it happens. If he has two, this is just my mental clock. If he has two pre-snap penalties, I'm looking at Edoga to come in. So,
okay, I know I was getting frustrated and there's Guyton again.
Yep.
But Amber said, "Get him out of there!"
After watching the game again,
pull him.
What is your real assessment on his actual play outside of those penalties?
I thought he played well.
Yeah, the
against
problem
the Commanders.
is if he doesn't get the penalties, and by the way, that holding call was BS.
It was.
It was complete BS because the Commanders, Lucas had one very similar, I think, on the Zach Ertz touchdown where I don't know who was going down to the ground, but he just kind of rode it. The same thing, just hands, rode him to the ground, and they didn't call that. I'm like, you're targeting this kid. You're targeting this kid because they target him because McCarthy said this about they tell him before the game that you're too deep. You're too deep. You're too deep. You need to get up on and get up on the line. So I don't know. I mean, like I say, other than the penalties, I think the kid was fine.
Yeah,
I really do.
There are meetings between head coach and officials before games, and officials will kind of point out things that they're looking at, they're looking for because they have bosses that they have to report to as well, and certain things are getting emphasized week after week. It changes week by week, but Tyler Guyton has been a frequent mention in those conversations pregame throughout the season.
Let's talk about Brandon. You mentioned Brandon Cooks and thinking that he could be have an impact this week. How much do you think that impact is limited by the fact that he hasn't really had a lot of time with Cooper Rush? And as we know, when we talk about wide receivers and quarterbacks, sometimes that chemistry can have as much of an impact as just a talented player.
Yeah, I think he's already going to be on a rep count to begin with, just coming back and working himself back in. But as far as him getting back acclimated with Rush, that's going to take some time. It's not an easy thing. I mean, fortunately, they have 11 days after this game to work through it. And also, they have been practicing for the last 2 weeks together, so it's not like they're walking in fresh-faced. But it'll take some time.
Which receiver sits?
Man,
is Flournoy? Has Flournoy been?
You would hope Mingo, but I don't think it's going to be Mingo. I think it's.
I don't think it's going to be Mingo.
See, I think they like Mingo at this point of attack blocker dude.
Yeah,
like
that's
he's
fair.
he's
their best blocker.
He's like a
point.
Yeah, he's like a tackle wearing 81 out there with the way he blocks.
Yeah.
By the way, that pass he caught along the sidelines. I mean, he went low for it, extended, made the play, and then Cooper Rush short hopped one to him when he had it.
Has he had a good throw all since he's been here? I don't know that he's had a good throw come to him.
I don't know if he's had a good throw since he's been at Ole Miss.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, he literally looks like a soccer goalie out there, diving, trying to catch the ball and stuff like that. So, I could see Flournoy.
I could also see injuries at other positions just allowing both of them to play. Because if Carson moves off the active roster and they don't elevate anybody in his place, and I don't know, that would be risky, but it's certainly a thought.
Yeah. All right. Talk to me about the tight ends. I want to talk a little bit about their development. Let's start first with Schoonmaker. As you've seen him play without Ferguson in there, have you changed your opinion at all, or what? I'll change that question. How well do you think he has developed at this point? Being a guy that was a second-round pick that you would expect something of, you'd expect to start seeing by this point in his career a little bit of acceleration in his development. What have you seen from him, and where do you feel like he is at this point in his development?
I think we mentioned it a day or two ago about his receiving ability, just needing to dive into that a little bit more. Lean into his receiving knacks, because I feel like he has it. I go back to, I was watching the Michigan TCU semifinal game a couple weeks ago just because I'm a sicko, and he was catching passes in that game and running routes.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, I have not seen this since he's been in Dallas. And, I'm starting to think back after the Washington game, like, okay, they used him in the receiving game because they had to. What about if they just planned to? If maybe he's not the point of attack blocker that they drafted.
Yeah, that's that.
And that's okay. That's okay if he's not. If that second round pick, they had the idea of him being able to contribute a little bit in the receiving game, but really just being able to help the run game and get after guys at the line of scrimmage. Maybe he's not that, but I think he can still be a receiving guy at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think where you look at some of these guys, these young guys have got to play so much more. And I don't think he's at the level of where Golston, when Golston's a veteran guy, but Golston's played so much, you kind of have a different opinion of him. Schoonmaker's played enough now that we're like, okay, he's not a liability out there. We talked about, I think, the blocking. I'm hopeful because I saw him block at Michigan. And I'm like, this guy can block. He doesn't do it all the time here. And then bad body position gets called for a hold. We saw what happened on the field goal thing. There are things that kind of haunt him. But I think overall for him, the amount of reps he's got, I said again, not a liability as a player. Actually, when they throw him the football, he doesn't look like he's fighting it. Like there were times where he was running seam routes. Remember Dak throws the ball right in his top of his hand. He's got to go up high point of ball, and it goes bounding off his hands. Maybe today Schoonmaker catches that ball. Maybe a little bit more confidence. But I always talk about Golston, and his playing has gotten better because he's played more. I think Schoonmaker's in that same kind of area.
He's slowly getting better. And, you would like for him to be a lot more ahead. But I think with him starting off his career in the NFL and the injuries that have prevented him time away from playing and all of that. But man, this is weird. But when I look at him, I feel like I need to stretch. When someone just looks tense and he needs a deep stretch, flexibility of it. And
that's how I feel about Guyton. That's how I feel about Guyton. He just needs a yoga class.
Yeah.
Just
one of
it's
those,
all right, dog.
Just breathe.
I get it.
Yeah, they
breathe
just look tense,
and let it out.
Relax, good stretching massage. They're painful, but then afterwards you feel like you can do anything. Yeah. He needs one of those.
With Schoonmaker, he's lost trust in the offense, and that's apparent by his snap count up until Jake Ferguson got hurt.
Yeah.
You look at these holding penalties. He's had 3 in the last 4 games. Only one of them have been accepted, but it's still there, and it's not helping this offense at the end of the day. He's got to be able to pull that back because if he can't be trusted on those rundowns, then he's not going to be trusted overall. Next training camp is going to be a very big training camp.
The problem with Schoonmaker is that was a pretty good tight end draft. And there are all these second, third round kind of tight ends that seem to be playing at every week you watch the highlights, you watch a game, and there's somebody making a play that's a tight end that's like, God, they took Schoonmaker before that guy. And he came out of a really good tight end class. And if you look at Sam Laporta and that whole, he was, everybody seems like that they're on track of being Pro Bowl players. Yeah. And your guy's fighting just to make sure he's active every week.
Yeah.
That's kind of a problem.
Yeah. All right, let's get some picks. What do you guys think is going to happen tomorrow? Cowboys versus Giants.
Say this: desperation is a funny thing, and the Giants are desperate right now. But I'm going to take the Cowboys in a close one. Desperation's a funny thing.
I buy the desperation theory. I really do, and I really worry about if Drew Lock plays in this game tomorrow. With Cutlets, I think they have a better chance of winning the game. But I'm going to pick Dallas. I'm going to pick Dallas in this one. It's funny, 26-16.
Okay.
I mean, who's not to say the Cowboys are desperate too? Like at home, they haven't won a single game at home, so that's a lot of desperation there on a big game like Thanksgiving. I have the Cowboys. I think usually when they match up against the Giants, they tend to play better. Like they tend to play a good game. It's always big for the tight ends. They seem to just be successful at it. And I think it'll be a good matchup. Hopefully some back and forth, make it fun. But I picked the Cowboys 24-17.
All right. I think it's going to be
Derek's going to pick the Giants.
I actually think it's going to be a barn burner. I think it's going to be a crazy game. I think it's going to start off slow. I think it's going to be very similar to last week. Start off slow, and then it's going to get going, and we're going to have some fireworks. We're going to have some fun. I think the Cowboys win because I think the Cowboys are a better team. And right now, the way I look at it is I think this Cowboys defensive unit is the reason why they got a shot at in the games that they'll play for the rest of the season. If the defense shows up, they're going to win this game. And so I think at the end of the day, it's a slow starter. But by second half, I think it gets going. I think it's a fun game at the end of the day. I think Cowboys win 27-21.
Who's going to be holding the turkey leg during their interview post?
Jordan Lewis.
Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush will be holding it. Him and Turpin. The two of them will be holding
CeeDee Lamb.
There you go.
Luke Schoonmaker.
All right, guys.
Story.
That's a wrap.
Let me take something really quick. Thanksgiving, it's my favorite holiday of the year. I just want to thank everybody that's been listening this year. I know it's been a tough season, but all the guys, all the people that have been tweeting at us and continuing to support us every week, we appreciate that. I just want to say thank you for that.
I know you had that sweet side in you.
I try. I try
That's
to.
sweet.
I'd like to just MF everybody that listens to us right now.
Manny put that in you. Manny put that to you.
Especially the post-game shows.
You need therapy, Brian.
Oh, gosh. If you haven't heard Brian on the post-game show, go check it out.
Listen tomorrow.
Just go. Is it on? I'll see if you Google that. Can they get to that one from last week? It's got to be out there. Hilarious.
Me and Wolchuk had enough of you out there.
Hilarious.
Shout out to Jeremy in San Antonio.
Yeah.
All right, that's a wrap, guys. We'll be back on Monday. We'll let you know what went right and wrong for the Cowboys. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. Until then, for Nick Harris, Brian Broaddus, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!